Okay, well, let's just kind of pick up where we left off. That there, and if we lost it, it's lost. That there. It's just it's just from the slide, so there's nothing in it that's critical. That since there's no exams that there. The TCP/IP is transmission control protocol, and IP is the Internet Protocol address. There, those are all terms that you'll hear regarding to the Internet. And again, I'm not going to get into that there. I'm just going to web services. Everybody knows about that. You guys probably know this stuff better than I do anymore. Some of these right there. I mean. Well, actually, Zillow you don't have here, but you've got other things. Lincoln, yeah, I've heard of all these. Actually, Last.fm I haven't used too much. Amazon I've used a lot. Okay, I'm going to, before things crash on me again, let me just kind of, there's some terms, you can go through them in the slides. So there's nothing there, alpha, beta. Alpha is your first release. That there, you normally don't let alpha developments, that's your first pass. Betas are released to a large number of people out there to try to debug it. Release candidates are completely finished, but they're not quite ready for sale. That they're if you're part of the insider club, for example, with Microsoft, you can get the release candidates and look at them and play with them before they're finally released, and send bug reports back to Microsoft on errors. The whole idea with release candidates is you get to many users as possible without charging them money, with the understanding that this is not ready for prime time. Don't use it for real work yet. That's there. And then final release is that it's supposed to be bug free, but it never is. Continuous beta. Some things are continuously being developed. That they're Google search and Gmail typically are continuously are updating right there. And that's what's okay. Now let me go through and hopefully nothing crashes on me right here. Evidently my computer had a hiccup right there. Up on the website, on Facebook, there's a file here called guest number C. Just go ahead and download that right there. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I know what's going on here. This is why things were giving me headaches here. Okay. All right. As I said, I've updated my computer and some things have happened. Okay, now this is guest number.c, and you probably should have. You weren't seeing some of the things I was talking about during the beginning of the class. Right there. So, okay, guest number.c. I'm just going to hit download that. And I'm going to place that all right, right now it's in a directory it's in downloads. I'm going to cut that, and it doesn't matter where you put it. I'm going to put it under C projects and create a new directory for it. And yes, number right there. It doesn't matter where you put it, just put it someplace where you know it. I just like to keep all my projects in one directory. Now, I don't know how your computers are set up. Mine's set up where the default C compiler, if I double click on a C file, is going to bring up dev C. Yours should be the same way. So if I double click on this, it brings up the editor in dev C. If that doesn't happen, bring up dev C and file, open and find the file that way. Now this is the C program, and you don't have to do this right now. You could do this after I leave. You could do it tomorrow. I don't care, but I'm going to put the recording up right afterwards so you can follow this right there, because I know I'm going relatively fast. That's there. So this particular file is a C program, as was explained in the slides. We'll go through this file and develop it in Chapter 5. Just some highlights. It's got at the top 3 includes, where it includes standard I/O, includes the standard library, and it also includes the time library. The reason it includes the time is that it uses a random number generator, which we have to seed it with the current time. So there's a cran function that seeds a random number generator, and this particular one just calls a function called guess time. This is the main right there. I don't know. Right here. This is the main routine. Main only calls one function, and it's called guess time. And guess time down here is, this is the key part of this program. And we'll go through this in more detail in Chapter 5. But what it basically does is it generates a random number between 1 and 1,000. And it has you guess the number until you find the right number. Then ask you if you want to play the game. I mean, it's a very silly program, but it just kind of demonstrates right there. And it's got another function at the bottom that returns whether or not it's high or low right there. So again, we'll go through and develop this program in a few weeks. Now, just for the fun of it, I'm going to stick at the beginning of this right here. A couple of statements right there. Put string actually lets me write a string to the screen right there, and I'm just going to say hello. My name is James the Connors. And then \n, just to show that it's running my program. That's just, I'm just, just putting that in there just for the sake. The /n we'll talk about later, but that means new line right there. And you can put your name in, just something just to prove to yourself that it's running your program. Now, under execute, we've got a compile. We've got a run, a compile and run, a rebuild all, syntax check. If I run the syntax check, it comes back and says, I've got an error right there. And I deliberately put that error in there so that you see that. And it says expected semicolon before SRAM. In C, every line of code has to end with executable has to end with a semicolon for the most part. So I left the semicolon off, and it showed me right where the semicolon was missing. Now, it was a little misleading because it showed it on the next line that's there, but it showed me where to look for it. So now I can go back here to execute, and I can run my syntax check again, and this time there's no errors, no warnings right there. So I can go through and I can compile this. Now, if I compile this, it gives me no errors right there. And I can go to right here. And you'll notice that I now have another file there. And if I do a right click on this, this is a application with a .exe extension right there. And I can double click on this and run it here. So that's an executable file that you can give to anybody. You can send it up there. You can do whatever you want. You can't mail it over the internet because most email checkers will delete anything with an exe extension because they might contain error bugs that there. But it's an executable right there. And notice this is, hello, my name is James, the con artist, just as I did that thing. Now you don't have to, you can hit Control C and that closes that out. Or you can go back to your your development there, your IDE right there. And under execute, I've got a compile and run, F11. That compiles your program and runs it all in one step. As I said, there's 4 steps involved: editing, compiling it, or preprocessor, compiling it, linking it, and loading it. You know, there's actually 5 steps. You count the loading and running it. That is actually reduced to just editing and then 1 step. You can make changes to your program and hit the F11 key on your keyboard, and those changes are instantly brought into it. Not like the dark days when I was a young programmer, student, your age. You know, I actually didn't go to school until I was 22 because I didn't start college until I got out of the Air Force. But when I was 22, when I wrote my first programs, I would go through and I would type a bunch of punch cards. I would take the punch cards and I would run them through the punch card reader, go have a cup of coffee or a bowl of pipe tobacco outside someplace, right there. Well, I still smoke my pipe tobacco. That's there. Yeah, it's my flaw in life. That there. I'm sorry, I gave up the alcohol. I gave up the dating. I gave up all that other stuff, but I still like my pipe and cigars. I don't smoke cigarettes, but that's there. But I would go and do something for 20 minutes, half hour, whatever. Have a cup of coffee, come back, get my printout, and it would show where my syntax errors were. Go back to the key punch machine, correct my syntax errors, run it again. Oh, there's more syntax errors. And I would repeat that process until my program ran successfully. Which might mean that a single program might take me 4 hours to do. Now you can do in 5 minutes what used to take me 4 hours. Right there. So life is much better today for programming. Okay. So, that's there. So to prove this example, and I'm just going to play the game. 500, too high. So we go 250. I'm just doing a binary search where I cut in half each time. That's the quickest way to do a search like this. 250, too high. 125, too high. 62, too low, so I'm going to say 90, too low, so it's between 125 and 90, so it's 35, so I'm going to add 15 to that, so let's go 105, too low, that's there, so we'll go 110, or 115, too high. So now we're at 110. I probably should have gone with 110. Too high, so now it's either 112. It's got to be 111 right there. Hold on here now. There's something wrong with this program. Oh, 110 was too high. So 108. I'm not pointing, I'm not, okay, I finally found it right. And Control C, of course, shuts it off right there. And I can just make, I'm going to just change this to build a con artist. Right there. And again, I can just go through and hit F11. And notice that my change is instantly included in my code. I don't have to go through a whole lot of steps. No going out and having a cup of coffee and then coming back and grabbing my printout and looking for the right cards to change. I can make changes instantly in the code, and that's there. Later on, we'll talk about putting breakpoints and troubleshooting that way, but that's actually the first thing I want you to do. Is just, and you don't have to turn anything in, but I want you between now and Monday, and some of you are already doing it, to just go through and download this, test it, see that you can go through the process right there. So, and this quite often is the most difficult thing of programming, is getting program number 1 running up there. As you recall, last time I did this one here, well, it was all open. I did project 1, and I didn't want to open that. I opened the wrong thing. Open. I want the C right there. As you recall, I couldn't get the print because I had these two reversed. It's supposed to be I equals 0, semicolon, I is less than 10, and then I plus plus. So if I run this, again, project or execute, compile and run, right there, that's the one that I wrote last time. Only I fixed. You'll remember at the end of class I was going, all right, there's something going wrong. I got some debugging. As soon as I open it up, I go, ah, you, you moron. Yeah, what I did last time was in this statement here, where you can, I don't know if you can see it in the front, where it says I is less than 10, and then semicolon I plus plus. I reversed those two. That's there. So, and we'll talk about how the for loop works later, but just that there. But again, the whole idea is that you could go through and try some look at that particular program, because all I want you to do right now is just be able to load a program into the editor. You can make some changes like I did with put s, and see how the put s statements in there, just to show that you can make changes to the program, and then hit the F11 key and see that it runs right there. Now, if you've got an error there, again, I'm just going to, for example, put FF there. If I go to execute this, I get an error right there. So I get right here, undefined reference to print F right there. So that tells me that I've got a syntax error. And then all I do is go up here and delete that, and again, right there. So this is not the most common C compiler out there. The most prevalent one is Microsoft Visual Studio. There's two problems with Microsoft Visual Studio. One is it's very expensive, and the other is it's a resource hog. It takes up a lot of hard drive space, a lot of memory. It's quite cumbersome to use. That's there. For academic use, I would not necessarily recommend it for this level of class. It's just too much to learn to use it. We used it at our old campus because we bought a site license for everybody on campus, and it was free, and that and it's what, you know, the big boys use at Google and places like that. It's what okay, with that said, I actually